come and be with you. Or I might look at your life and say, it doesn't look too good anyway. You're not having fun. So if you're not having fun, why would I be there? We have to challenge ourselves to see what in the world is the benefit of coming and being in the house of the Lord. Is there a benefit? In the mid-20th century, a phrase came out that said there is no salvation outside of the church. The mid-20th century. And no salvation outside the church meant that if you weren't in church, you weren't saved. And everybody ran with that doctrine, all Protestant movements. And so what you saw happen was debates. And when you come up around the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, when the Church of Christ was the fastest growing church in America, it's because we won a lot of debates. And we challenged people to look into God's Word and see what it meant. And the church was the fastest growing in America. That phrase came out of Catholicism, though. Because it was Catholics who first said, if you are not Catholic, you cannot be saved. Catholicism just simply meant the universal church, and they believed they were it. And if you were not a part of them doing it exactly the way they were doing it, you were wrong. Many Protestant churches followed that suit. And they began to debate and all of those things, and the winner of the debate, honestly, was us. We had great warriors back then. Thomas Warren was one of them. Great warriors who could expound on God's Word and make it plain for people to see. Carl Ketcherside was another champion for truth. We had many from back then who would teach God's Word and help people to be empowered to see it for themselves. Mid-20th century. In the 21st century, though, in an age where information is booming and available to everybody, whereas before it was not, truth has no place. Actions speak louder than words now. So what people see in the 21st century is they see a hypocritical church at best. They don't see people living the things that they're saying. They see hypocrites telling other people what they should do instead of doing it themselves. The church has been a burden to bear in the name of our salvation. Some attend church services and Bible classes, and it's just like it's a burden. They come not because of the people. They come not because of the teaching. They come out of obligation because they think they're supposed to. Because God, the boogeyman, will get me if I don't show up. And so we show up, but we have no connection to the people that we do it with. We have no connection with those that we are dwelling with, that we are supposed to be fellowshipping with. There is no connection outside of this building. Sure, we have one or two friends that we might call or might come over each other's house. But in a fellowship of 60, which really isn't big, you would think there'd be a constant flow of that. But it is not. When someone is missing, they're just simply missing. We just either assume they're on vacation or they're going somewhere else or they're just not here. No one's worried or concerned that something might have happened to them. Oh, a few that might ask. Maybe somebody will call and send a card. I'm talking about you count those on one hand in a fellowship of 60. Some of us don't even know where others live. Never been to their house, never been invited, and never feel to go. We come because it's a burden. We come because we feel we have to. Some even believe they're coming because they think they can get to heaven that way. So we just come and we go through the motions. And we expect to see 5 articles of worship. We expect things to start on time and end on time. Purely, it is simply institutional religion. That's it. No connection to Jesus, no perfecting of any saints, no working ministries. What do you mean? That's not what we came for. We came to sit in pews. If we were to ask ourselves our effect when we talk about being meat for the master's use, and we talk about how many exactly friends do we have? Not co-workers, not them. Friends meaning people that came and sat at my table at my house that I ate with, maybe we went on vacation with. We raised our children together. We spent time. They got my tools. I got some of their tools. I'm talking about true friends. How many do we have? took co-workers out, which were simply mere acquaintances, and people that we would worship with, which tend to be acquaintances, at our funeral, how many people other than family would be there? Family has an obligation to be there. We can't count them. But how many really would be there? And I mean, how many lives would we have touched in such a way that they would stand up at your funeral and say, my God, I thank him for brother so-and-so. Man, did he make a difference in my life. Or I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for so-and-so. Or I met my wife and we had problems and that couple took us in and man, they helped us and saved my marriage. How many people would say that? Are we fit for the master's use? Church over the years has taken the form of two models, and it's only been these two models. And they're not God's models, they're worldly models, but unfortunately, they've taken this shape. Think of the two models. The first is the corporation model. In the corporation model, there's a headquarters somewhere here on earth, and they stand and tell people what to do. The Jehovah's Witnesses, who were started by a guy named Charles Taze Russell, they are in New York, and they create those little watchtower things they're handing out. And every Sunday, they get a shipment that, not necessarily on Sunday, probably Friday, they get a shipment, they look over the lesson, and every church that is a Jehovah's Witnesses church, or Kingdom Hall is what they call them, each one of those are teaching the exact same thing every single week. And so the people get there, they get indoctrinated with their little watchtower message, and then on Monday, they go out, and they tell you what they heard on Sunday from their little watchtower thing, and they give it to you. Corporation model. They have a group somewhere that's telling them what to do and has the final say of everything. And a lot of denominations have followed that format. They all got a headquarters that teaches them something. It's called the corporation model. Then the second one is the franchise model. And the franchise model is you have one, and that franchise is unique to itself, but it matches other franchises. They look the same, they do the same stuff, they teach the same stuff pretty much. But that's the franchise model, that fits us. But there are other people who do that too. And they don't have a headquarters that you can point to. All of the franchise models say their headquarters is in heaven, but they're not listening to the guy up there. So what they do is they set up doctrine, institutionalized, and they follow that cookie cutter pattern. If you went to this Church of Christ and went to the one that's 10 minutes from here, then the one that's 20 minutes that way, and then one that's way down there 30 miles away, we'd be doing the exact same thing. It's going to be 5 acts of worship. They'll have a pew, they'll have this, they'll have everything we have. They'll have this sitting up there, they'll look the same way. Franchised. Franchised. That's the model. Were they franchised in Acts? Where the church started? Was there a corporation then? The corporation model? These are worldly models that Satan has constructed to institutionalize us and move us away from God, the Father. Churches lost the New Testament pattern and turned to something else. In the first century, churches were a loose network of house churches. Their worship was more spontaneous and participatory in nature. Their culture, or our culture I should say, has made churches more organized and institutional. Typical assemblies are programmed by leaders, passive for the spectators, and easy to attend without ever forming a sense of community with each other or anybody else who shows up. That's what they were designed for. So the leaders tell you what to do. You can sit passively and let them do it. And if visitors come, you can say hi. And you leave. Franchise. That's our franchise. And there is no connection. There is no forced connection. We sing songs that at least say the words that are connected, but we don't actually do it ourselves. Church has become a system of belief to be argued instead of a shared life to be lived. Let me say that again. Church has become a system of belief to be argued instead of a shared life to be lived. And that has been our